Yeah, before we get to Gabriel, guys, August 26th is tomorrow, and it is officially FanDuel's Future Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or just ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before Week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. So go ahead and take a flyer on the MVP race or crown your champion here in August. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now. Because Future Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game.
Awesome. All right, on to QB2. And we'll do the same thing. Tyvis, you can start. I'm not going to make any comments other than Dillon Gabriel, I think, threw a touchdown, no picks. What did you give Dillon Gabriel?
B+.
B+.
Gave him a B+. I wanted to give him an A because everything was so smooth. He did have a couple of missed throws, and the height.
Did you count the touchdown drop? Was that a drop or a missed throw to you?
No, the one to the corner.
Thrash?
Yes, thrash.
It was throw was low.
Yeah.
Throw was low.
Yeah, I thought that was a catchable ball. I couldn't say it was a drop, but I couldn't put it on either guy. Like, that's where you want to throw it. You got to throw it down and out, and he put it where it needed to be. I think a great receiver makes that catch, but it's not technically a drop in my mind.
It was
either.
two scenarios where the height came up for me. The one I told you, I texted you, I was like in the red zone. That's where they say it comes up. And then they sent a blitz. He did a play action, which I don't know why they don't roll him to the left to his strength.
I think they should.
But they play action. He rolled to his weekend, and when he turned around, he had a 7 route to the corner. That was an easy touchdown. But I think that was the pass he threw I want to say that was the thrash throw. He threw it, and he missed the throw because it was high.
Yeah.
It was looking for Caden Davis.
Yes. Then he had another throw that he overthrew.
Was that the hospital ball?
No, that was the 84. That's the hospital ball.
Yeah, he overthrew it, and I was like, every time he misses, it's an overthrow, which it leads to, and as a secondary, you're taught tips and overthrows, you got to get those. So any overthrow, that can lead to interception. So those were the reasons why I gave him a B+. But if you talk about a guy that sat back there, executed the offense, understood what the defense was doing, was able to go through his reads really fast, get the ball out in a timely manner, he did all of that. And he was able to even score in the red zone, which was something that he didn't do the previous week.
I agree with the B+, by the way. So I'll just get that out.
Yeah, we're all the same
I think
so far,
B+,
I got a B+ as well.
Was where he was at. He had the couple misses on the throw to Thrash in the end zone, Jay, that you said was low.
Yeah.
I was there, so I had he could have ran for a first down there.
It looked like he could
I
have.
thought the hamstring made him stop.
That's
I'm glad he didn't. And they talked about that on the telecast.
Yes.
Let's not put the pedal to the metal in a preseason game and miss the first.
So I understand the reasoning, but he certainly had a chance to extend that drive in the red zone and potentially put 7 on the board. So I do, even though I understand why he may have pulled up and decided to throw instead of run, I think a tiny bit for that. But that 2-minute drill that he executed at the end of the first half was almost flawless. Now, he did have the hospital ball on that drive, so I'm not saying it is flawless, but it was close to flawless. I went back and I watched the All-22 this morning as well. I posted some clips on my Twitter if you guys want to see it. The first out route he hit to Deontay Johnson was about a 16-yard gain.
It was a dime.
Not only was it a dime, but he threw that before Johnson even got into his break.
He did.
The timing on that was immaculate. Later on that drive, they ran a flood concept, which I don't know if Kevin Stefanski historically has run flood concepts as frequently as he has this preseason, but they've been running flood concepts with all 3 quarterbacks.
Which tells me you probably won't see it in the regular season because he doesn't do that
or maybe not. Maybe not. But in the red zone, he had a flood concept that he connected to Jamari Thrash on, where he layered the ball over the first level of the defense. The deeper route in the concept took the safety back, layered it in. The next play ended up being a touchdown. You can't draw it up. You can't execute it better than Gabriel did. And I believe he was 8 of 10 or 9 of 11 for 86 yards and a touchdown in a 2-minute drill. What more can you ask for? And they ate up the entire clock. To me, he looked poised. He looked comfortable. He looked confident, which is something I didn't necessarily see against Philadelphia. And you want to see that kind of progression game in and game out for these young quarterbacks. So I thought it was a really, really, really solid and impressive showing for the Browns' third-round pick.
You're not gonna say I'm not gonna say that I didn't see it against Philly. The first quarter he was 8 of 9. He looked really good.
I saw it more though. He just looked in the pocket, like his feet weren't choppy. He looked set.
he
stood there. He went through his progressions. He made the right reads. There were a couple routes where he started looking left and came all the way back and
Yeah.
worked around to the right. He just looked in complete control of whatever Kevin Stefanski was asking.
And that 2-minute drive, you ask quarterbacks, or you ask just anybody, what's one of the hardest things to do in football is execute a 2-minute drive at the end of a half or the end of the game.
Right.
It is very difficult to do. So to see him be able to score and put points up and look so poised in that moment, it speaks a lot about him.
To me, it's the closest you can get in a preseason game. And I'm glad you're here today because you can answer this. It feels to me that the closest you can get to simulating regular season football is a 2-minute meaningful drill.
Every team takes that very seriously
You
because
could
it's
tell it went
so
up a notch.
valuable. It's
Yes.
very valuable, and it's something that you won't get all the time. So
Right.
when you see 2 minutes, I don't care if it's preseason, scrimmage, whatever, 2-minute drill is taken very, very seriously.
Yeah, and you could tell both sides. Boy, the Rams had some guys. I know they left their first 2 teams in L.A. I mean, that's a smart move, I think.
Yeah.
But they had some guy, number 34 for them.
Oh, Tanner Ingles.
Yeah,
That dude is a heat-seeking missile.
If he gets cut, we need to get him.
And-
He gonna be fined a lot, but
I know he is, but you know what?
He loves some contact.
Here's
Tone
what I
setter.
love. We always say this in Cleveland. Who's our dog?
We don't have.
He's a dog.
Well, yeah, he is.
I don't know if he's going to make that roster. They're crazy
He
if they
has
release
to
him.
make it on at least a special teams role.
That's what a guy looked like to me that was on his last breath of oxygen, and he doesn't want to leave the party. I just loved his intensity. There were some times where I'm like, is someone from Cleveland going to knock this guy off his feet so he can back off a little bit?
He knocked 2 people out the game.
I know he did.
Braveheart and Pierre Strong. Both concussion protocols.
Strong ended up having a concussion, right?
Yeah.
Because I know he was in protocol.
Which was weird because he got knocked out. I seen the play that Tanner hit him. He got knocked out. He came back in, and then they was like,
you know, you don't have it. Yeah.
The spotter got him.
Yeah.
But I think in general, we all agree on Flacco for an A and a B+ for Dillon Gabriel. I did see a lot of poise against Philly. I did. I didn't see a guy that was a spotlit deer. We've seen that. We all know what that looks like. We all know what someone looks like, and they shouldn't be out there. They're not ready to be out there. I would never say that about Dillon in Philly. I thought there were times in that game, the Philly game, where he looked a little quick, which is obviously a byproduct of
tied to
nerves.
it, yeah.
But if I had to put him in the poised or rattled category against Philly, he would definitely have gone in the poised category for me. If it's just that simply black and white. There were some things I saw I didn't love. You're right about the feet. His footwork wasn't great. But in this game, my God, I mean, again, 3rd and 4th team. So we can't take much out of this. But he did what he was supposed to do. He took the necessary step forward. If he ends up being QB2, I have no problems with that.
Yeah.
I have absolutely no problems. I think he can be a serviceable quarterback in this league. Will there be times that he gets balls batted at the line of scrimmage?
Yeah.
Of course. Will there be times that we're screaming at our TVs on Sunday, he's too short? Yes, of course. But by and large, every quarterback has a deficiency. For Joe, it's the speed. For Dillon, it's the size. But I love his moxie. I love the speed in which he runs the offense. The 2-minute drill, he looked like he was in practice. He looked like he'd been there a million times. He had. You know, that's what happens when you play as many college football games as he has played. And he's played some big, meaningful, close and late games. And I thought he checked every box for me, B+. And I don't know if he's going to be 2. I think it sounds like Pickett's going to get the green light for week 2.
Yeah.
He'll probably be listed as QB2. My guess is that it will be Gabriel as QB3 and Shedeur Sanders as QB4. So
When you look, real quick before we move on, when we look at what Gabriel did against the Rams, and when you go back and pull back the big picture on what Kevin Stefanski, at least to our knowledge, has said he always wanted in the quarterback. Play on time, play smart, get the offense in and out of things, and be
Don't give it
efficient.
up.
And don't give it up. Like those are kind of the basic characteristics of what Kevin Stefanski has said he wanted in a quarterback. What he did against LA fit all those characteristics. Like it to me, watching him and watching it back on the All-22, because me and G were talking about this on the postgame show, until you see the eye in the sky, man, you don't really know. It's really tough to see who was open. Did he miss somebody? Was there lanes to do X and Y? So you have to go back and kind of see it from that perspective, and it's one of the times I really wish we had access to NFL footage so we can go through and do some of that stuff here for you guys. Unfortunately, the NFL will sue the crap out of us, so we are not allowed to do that. That's the reason we don't. But watching Gabriel execute that second quarter confirmed to me as to why I understand, or at least I see what they saw in him in the draft to take him so much higher than the consensus was on Dillon Gabriel.
Yeah, I'm with you. He did everything that I thought he could do. I watched him in the 2 games against Ohio State. Those are the 2 games I watched him very, very closely. It was weird because it was kind of a dichotomy. In the first game, I'm like, this guy is a witch. In the second game, when Ohio State was making a first down an impossibility, he looked like this guy isn't going to be an NFL quarterback.
Yeah, he looked overwhelmed.
They sacked him.
They sacked him 7 or 8 times.
Yeah, they were in his grill the entire. Now, I think that was just a case of the overwhelming talent disparity.
Yeah.
Ohio State should have won the first game.
Correct.
I understand coulda, shoulda, woulda, but they should have won that first game. But even in that first game, and even if it was a defeat for Oregon, he shined. He showed me that he could do it. And then I watched the playoff game, and I thought, God, I don't know that he's that good. I know somewhere, and then I watched him a couple of times in the regular season, here and there, never every snap, but enough to make the assessment that this guy could be an NFL quarterback. I think he's got the arm. I think he's mobile enough, and so I think. And by the way, for a cumulative grade, I would give him a B for the cumulative grade.
Same.
And that's because I gave him a B against Philly, a B plus in this one. I think it wasn't enough to curve it up to a B plus because that's almost an A. And last week when Earl gave him a C minus, I'm like, that's almost a D. You thought he played at a D level? I can't say that he's played at an A level in the preseason. So I'll give him a solid B cumulatively for his 2 preseason games. What do you have him at?
Probably B minus.
Oh, B minus.
Yeah.
So you thought his Philly game? I don't know what you gave him for the Philly game because.
Probably like a C.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, like a C.
Okay. Wow.
Because
that's
it's just the turnover, and I get that the Deontay Johnson interception one, that's on Deontay Johnson.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, he shouldn't have threw it.
Yeah.
So that's just a bad decision.
Yeah, I ding him hard for that too.
And the fumble, that's on him too, because your job is literally to put the ball in. Like the running back is just running to the gap with his hands up. Your job is to put the ball in there.
Yeah, it's almost like a pass.
And you kind of missed that.
Yeah.
So the reason I gave him a C
But
for
that's
that
fair. No,
is
that's fair.
because you do those 2 turnovers in the regular season, the game's over. You're not winning that game. Very seldomly you're going to win that game.
I just thought he was accurate. He started on fire.
He did.
And he made some big third down throws.
He
and I thought,
really
wow,
did.
Okay, so, to me, a C is,
I had a B plus and a C plus, so I'm right in that high B minus, low B range.
I think we're all in the same area on everybody. All right, let's do another read, and then we can get on to Shedeur Sanders' grade.